Township Parsippany-Troy Hills, Township Council Agenda Meeting, March 12, 2013. Public invited, public participation. Meeting called to order by myself, 7:30 p.m. Please rise for a flag salute. Mr. Creefy, if you would. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Here.
Mr. DePiero.
Here.
Mr. Ferrara.
Here.
Mr. Nelson.
Here.
Mr. Stanton.
Here, others present. Jasmine Lim, Business Administrator. Paul Cosarelli, Assistant Business Administrator. Justin Marquetta, Esquire, Township Attorney. Yancy Ziermis, Township Clerk. Purpose of this meeting is to set the agenda for the regular Township Council meeting, March 19, 2013. Formal action may or may not be taken.
Statement of compliance. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Law by filing the notice in the office of the Township Clerk and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin board at the Municipal Building on December 10, 2012, where it has remained posted since that date. A legal notice appeared in both the Daily Record on December 14, 2012 and the Star Ledger on December 13, 2012. And it was forwarded by fax to other local newspaper and radio station on December 10, 2012. Note, council meetings are videotaped and air on Cablevision Access Channel 21 at 1 p.m. on Saturdays and are also available for viewing at www.parsippany.net.
Okay, ordinances, second reading, public hearings. Everything set for next meeting, Yancy?
Yes, Mr. Stanton.
Okay, statuses of adopted ordinances, 2013:01, :02, :03, :04, all adopted on February 12, 2013. Mayor's action, February 15, 2013. Effective date, March 7, 2013. Discussions, reminders, scheduled meetings, March 19, 2013, 7:30 p.m. Regular meeting, public invited, public participation. April 9, 2013, 7:30 p.m. Agenda meeting, public invited, public participation.
Council President,
Yes.
should we mention the new locations for those meetings?
Yes, I was going to do it at the end. All right, we will be meeting. Do we have the places for the first? I know.
Parsippany Hills High School on the 19th,
7:30.
and Parsippany High School on April 9th. Parsippany Hills High School
Will be
on March 19th, and April 9th will be at Parsippany High School.
7:30.
Yes. Okay, administration, Jasmine?
I just have a couple of items that I want to point out to the council. The top of page 5, that resolution, if we're still reviewing the bids for the water main replacement, and if we don't have the bid report ready by Friday, we're going to pull it from the agenda. Okay. And then the one other item I wanted to discuss is that I'd like to schedule the budget hearings. I'm planning to have the budget ready to you by the next council meeting. I'm looking at full day, Saturday the 23rd, and Saturday, April 6th. Easter weekend is the weekend in between, so we didn't want to schedule anything then. And then an evening meeting on March 26th. Is 6 o'clock all right? Is that too early?
For what, the evening
Or
meeting?
Yeah, for March 26th.
So,
I'm going to have to look and get back to you.
Okay,
26th
all right.
is a Friday?
No,
Tuesday.
26th is a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
That's next Tuesday. Tuesday after the 19th. 2 weeks from now.
Oh. Passover.
Oh,
I don't know if that, I was,
Tuesday is Passover?
No, budgets are allowed during Passover.
okay.
Okay,
All right.
I'll get back to you.
okay.
Okay.
You know what, I'll send a reminder email out, and if you can all reply.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Okay, and on top of page 4, the ordinance has been pulled, right? Top of page 4. My understanding?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, township office reports. Mr. Greafy, engineer reports.
Engineer report of March 2013. There are no changes.
Yeah, just,
At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to open up to the public.
I make a motion to open,
Okay.
sorry,
Finish.
go ahead.
No, finish first.
I make a motion to open up to the public, 5 minutes per speaker, 2-hour limit in total.
All right, motion by Mr. Farrar, second by Mr. Greafy. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes, okay, you'll be given 5 minutes. Thank you.
On the front of it, there's an on building there. An on button on the front?
Yep.
Yeah, right there.
You can take it out if you want, Mr.
Hold on, we'll fix it for you.
Try that. How's that? Okay,
Okay.
again, my name is Dr. Paul G. King. I live in Lake Hiawatha, and I'm here to complain about a liquor store that's selling food. And you will look at me like I'm crazy. But late last year, you approved the ShopRite to start selling a limited amount of liquor in their food store. And last time I went in there, they were selling a limited amount of food in their liquor store. When I walked in on the left-hand side, there was a row about yay wide and about 50 foot long of bottles of wine, and that was in almost every aisle. There was one part of every aisle section that had liquor of some kind in it. Now, that's not what we thought we agreed to and not what you people approved, because I went the day after you approved it, walked through the store myself to see what you had, quotes, approved, and I've been going to the store since then, and I've been watching them increasingly infringe on the reality. Of course, they can make more money selling liquor than they can selling food, but that's not what the intent was, to allow them to move the stores together. And I know you have some way of getting their attention. I don't know if you will. I guess I can call whatever the alcohol board is and make a formal citizens complaint, not that they compare, but they listen much to citizens, I guess, these days. But I would assume that the town council, since y'all had to approve this merger, has some control over how they comply with how they comport themselves to what you thought they agreed to. And what I see is they don't comply at all. They don't comport themselves at all to what they agreed to currently. When I tried to talk to the management about it, they looked at me like I was crazy, like I'm infringing on their business, which is, I guess, in a way I am. I called the mayor's office, and the woman who was his assistant said, "You need to talk to the mayor and the council about this." I thought the mayor would be here, but I guess I was wrong. But I'm sure she carried the message to him, because she was upset about it too, although she couldn't say anything about it. Again, food stores should not be a place that liquor is prominently displayed, especially in times when we have lots of stress in our economy, because it just encourages people to drink who shouldn't. Now, I'm not an alcoholic. Actually, I'm a teetotaler because I have friends who are. But I don't want to do anything to make it harder for people who are trying not to be falling off the wagon or whatever to be responsible drinkers or not to drink at all. And this is definitely making it harder. Thank you.
If I may, Counsel?
Yes.
Okay. I understand. I've had that complaint before, and I spoke to I guess he's the general manager, Ned Gladstein, and they are trying to acquire the store next door to them and move the bulk of their liquor out of the food area if they can.
In other words, what they want to do is have it both ways. They want to move their liquor store into their store and then out to a convenient place for them after they get everybody hooked. Microphone, please. So what you want to say is that they want to move everybody into the store, all their liquor, and then when they get everybody hooked, then put the liquor store off to the
Well,
side.
I thought you were complaining about too much liquor being in the food aisles, and I thought I had just addressed that. Now you're pointing to another.
Again, I understand that that's what you say that they're doing, but I don't see that when I complained to them myself, they'd made no indication to me that they were trying to do that. And I went to the service desk and asked to speak to the person in charge, and somebody came out and said they were, and they didn't say anything about this. So this is news to me. Not that I need this kind of news.
I talked to somebody a little higher up than who you were talking to.
Oh, okay, well, that
And
may
it's
be.
not
Well,
a promise that they're trying to do it.
Well, let's hope that, but it seems to me you have the ability to encourage them by asking the liquor board to censure them or do something for exceeding what you said, what they showed you they were going to do.
Mr. King, did you sign in?
Oh, yes.
Thank you, thank you.
Mary Przicki, 273 Marcella Road. I'm sure you council people and people in the audience are aware that Parsippany was voted number 17 in the country for best town to live in.
15.
Which one?
15.
15th, moved up. Okay. Well, I was wondering if you people ever thought about how we got there, because I did. And it was because I believe we had developed from the 80s a very decent master plan, which did not come about haphazardly. There were large tracts of land then that were to be developed. The developers came and said that they wanted mixed land use on that, which consisted of commercial, office, residential. They called it mixed land use back in the 80s. One of the tracts of land was on Route 10 and one of the tracts of land was on 46. People spoke out then that they didn't want it. They wanted their residential areas separated from their offices and commercial areas because they wanted to have a nice quiet area to live in, to bring up their kids, and to know it was safe. They didn't want development that was commingled. The township, I believe, really took that and listened to the residents, and they got rid of it. And all of a sudden, I read about this overlay zone that's now being created, something new, a new word for mixed land use. People didn't want it then, and I really don't think they want it now. And if it is developed, I believe we will not be in that category of number 15 or 17. Take a look at Route 46 down around, I'd say from Clifton to Wayne. And if you think that you want to live in a town like that, where there's traffic, where it's not aesthetically pleasing, the townhouses that are built there where the quarry were, to me, are hideous. I think you have to listen to the residents of the township, and you have to say, all right, this is hard economic times, and you kind of think about what are the alternatives. Is this a quick fix? Look down the road at what that development will do to this township in 25 years and 30 years, because 80 years was 30 years ago. And then say, is it right for Parsippany? And is it right for its residents? You, each one of you, have to make that decision soon, and you better give it seriously thought. Don't think the quick fix economically now. Think the long term. And don't let a developer come in and more or less say, oh, this is the greatest thing that can happen to Parsippany. When years ago, 30 years ago, and I think continued to this day, the Parsippany residents want the separation of their areas, residential, office, commercial, because it's in our best interest. Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'll sign in after the talk. Nicholas Homiak, 2609 Lake Hiawatha. I'm here for the same reason. I'm disturbed that our planning board seems so narrow-minded. I don't think we have one person who knows anything about ecology or environmentalism or biodiversity at all that sits on that board. They're strictly aimed toward business. I have here in front of me a study that was conducted by Rutgers University. It concerns water quality and recharge. And the purpose of this study, that was for the benefit of the public, the state of New Jersey, for the future of the aquifer that is underneath our very feet here, was to maximize the benefit of living in this watershed and how to live with it. In the report, the very area of Waterview Park office complex is mentioned specifically to address the issue of loss of biodiversity and its purpose as a recharge area. I've walked that lot 3 times now. And this developer should have been thrown out of here a long time ago because his presentations have been not up to standard, poor for an organization that represents money. He hasn't produced one map with contours. He hasn't produced one study other than an Eco Science Incorporated that claims that there would be no impact to any adjacent wetlands or the wetland transition zones that exist on the area. It seems even he missed a few trees. We have red cedar, we have a white pine, we have holly, we have wild strawberries. I don't see any of that in his baloney report. But his report didn't even border on water, hydrology, geography, none of that. What does he expect, the town to produce that for him, or for the private citizens to spend their own money for that report? The thing is, it's an audacity, it's an insult to the community, and the planning board. There's one thing that they should realize, that we all should realize: everything has limits. Parsippany has reached its limits. We should be in a post-development phase, not playing word games. Yeah, rezoning. What is that? It was zoned, now it's going to rezone. I mean, it's just an insult to the community, and it's an insult to all the hard work that has taken place already to have things like the Highlands Protection Act, the Wetlands Protection Act, the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act. Just forget about all that. It looks good on paper, but it has to be applied to this community, and this community has definitely had enough of development. So please don't allow this destruction. It's more than a disturbance of a wetland or an adjacent wet. It's destruction of the earth. And it's destruction of the state of New Jersey and Parsippany. We are one of the original 13 colonies. George Washington traversed across this terrain here. But you know what? If he came back like Jesus Christ, he sure wouldn't recognize it.
Next, please.
Papatacha, 182 Hawkins Avenue. Jasmine, could you please tell me, and the mayor had told me last week that you were checking with the engineer regarding Ball and Summit Avenue. Could you tell me the status on that?
You mean whether it's in the capital budget? Yes, it is.
Thank you.
For 2013.
Give me a moment. I think the insult here tonight is the fact that the mayor and John Inglesino are both not here tonight. That is an insult. to the residents and the taxpayers that came out here, that is an insult. I am very upset with it. Now I have some questions to ask. And I'd appreciate being let to speak because a few people have gone over their minutes. I'm going to ask these questions directly to one specific person. I would like them to answer the question. Was there a meeting, Brian Stanton, on Sunday, January 13th, 2013? Were you in attendance and were you asked to check with other council members in regards to creating a new position at the police department? Can I have that answer, please?
Was there a meeting? Yes, there was a meeting.
On a Sunday. Okay. Okay. Did you at that time, were you asked to go and ask a council member and a policeman to hand their resumes in? Did you go to them and ask them for their resumes for?
At that meeting, no.
Not at that meeting. I said, as a result of that meeting, did you ask Mr. Karifi and Mr. Valori for their resumes?
As a result of that meeting, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Okay, as a result of that meeting. Did you at any time request Karifi's and Valori's resumes?
Yes, I did.
Was John Inglesino in attendance that night?
13th, yes, he was.
He was in attendance.
Yes.
And what was the purpose of his attendance that day?
Purpose, I don't know, but the purpose was of a possible position.
On a Sunday. Was this billable time?
Asking the wrong person.
I am asking the president of the council, who should know what we're
wouldn't know that.
paying
You'd
money
have-
out for.
you'd have-
I'm asking the president of the council.
I would
And you
not
should
know-
be aware of these things.
I would not know if it was
Okay.
available.
Then I will ask this lawyer here in place of John Inglesino. Did he bill us for his services on January 13th? And what were we billed for his services on that date?
I do not know whether the time was billed. I'll have to look.
I find that terrible.
Okay.
Nobody has responded to requests for answers that I had to come up here to get them. A bold-faced lie. A bold-faced lie to the taxpayers and residents came out saying that there was no meeting. You people, really? I'm really upset. And all these people here should be insulted. The whole town should be insulted.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to close the public.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Farrar,
Second.
second by Mr. DePiero. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes. At this time, I'll take the ultimate motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Farrar,
Second.
second by Mr. Nelson. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes. Good night, everyone.